ready for a deep dive into something that really makes you think.
Always up for a challenge. What are we tackling today?
Well, it's this idea. Can we really recognize a truth, even if it completely shakes up everything we believe?
That's a big one. What got you thinking about this?
We're diving into some source material that uses a really unexpected comparison to explore this Superman.
Okay, now you've got my attention. Superman and truth. How does that work?
So the text starts with this quote from Richard Dawkins, the famous atheist. When asked about Jesus' existence, he just goes, "Who cares?"
Who cares? That's a pretty bold statement. It's like he's shutting down the whole conversation before it even begins.
Exactly. And that's what this text wants us to really think about, that dismissive, who cares? It assumes that if there's no God, then Jesus, whether he existed or not, just doesn't matter.
It's like saying, who cares if Clark Kent was a real person? Superman's obviously just a fictional character.
Right. But here's where it gets really interesting. What if there's more to the story? Like, what if Kal-El, the actual being behind Superman, was real? Would that change how we see Clark Kent? Would his existence suddenly matter a lot more?
It makes you think, doesn't it? The text is saying that maybe we're approaching this whole question with blinders on. Maybe there are other ways to understand the significance of Christ, ways that go beyond just the historical evidence.
Like there's more to understanding Kal-El than just looking for a guy flying around in a cape.
Exactly. And that's where the deep dive gets even more intriguing. The text introduces this thought experiment, almost like a trial of the writer, to really make this point hit home. Imagine someone today walking around claiming to be the writer from the book of Revelation, the one who holds the true identity of Christ.
Okay, well, hold on. A writer. Now we're getting into some serious biblical prophecy, aren't we?
We are, but this is where the text really grabs you, I think. It makes these ancient ideas feel so relevant to us today.
I totally agree. So we've got this person right here, right now, claiming to be this writer, saying they embody Christ. What happens? How do people react?
Well, the text suggests that this writer would probably face the same kind of doubt and dismissal that Jesus did. People would call them crazy, maybe even dangerous, just for saying it.
Just for claiming to be who they are.
Exactly. It makes you wonder, with all our progress and logic and science, are we really that different from those who dismissed new ideas in the past?
So even with our emphasis on science and reason, we might still reject something just because it doesn't fit with what we already believe.
It's a real possibility. Like, think about Galileo.
Oh, right. He got in so much trouble.
People thought he was nuts for saying that the Earth revolves around the sun.
Because it challenged everything they thought they knew.
Exactly. It challenged the accepted view of the world, and the people in charge weren't ready to even consider it. This text argues that maybe, with this writer figure, we'd see history repeat itself. We're so attached to our own understanding of the world, our own worldview, that we might miss a truth that's staring us right in the face.
And here's something I find interesting. What if this writer isn't asking for blind faith? What if they're presenting a strong, logical argument? Wouldn't that change things?
That's a great point. And that's where this idea of simulacra comes in. Have you ever heard of that?
Vaguely. It's like copies of things, right?
Yeah. The text goes into the work of this philosopher, Jean Baudrillard, who said that in our modern world, we're surrounded by copies that don't even have a real original.
Like we see an image or a symbol, but it's lost its original meaning.
Precisely. Think about how easy it is to get caught up in those copies, those empty symbols.
Okay, I'm with you. But how does this connect back to the writer and this search for truth?
Well, the text uses this idea of simulacra to ask this really powerful question. What is true for the tree of life?
The tree of life.
Right. You see, the tree of life is often seen as a symbol of truth, enlightenment, a deeper understanding.
Okay, yeah.
The text suggests that maybe, just maybe, to understand the real nature of Christ, we need to break free from these simulacra, these surface-level interpretations, and look for that deeper meaning.
So we've got this writer figure who could totally change how we see Christ. And we've got this idea of the tree of life pushing us toward deeper truth. It feels like we're on the verge of a huge shift in perspective.
That's exactly it. It's not about tossing out what you already believe, but being open to a whole new way of looking at things.
So instead of blind faith or just being skeptical, we approach this with curiosity, a willingness to really examine the evidence with fresh eyes.
Exactly. What if we could do that? What if we could set aside our assumptions and really look?
It's a challenge for sure. But what you're saying is this isn't about proving or disproving history. It's bigger than that. It's about whether we're even open to recognizing the truth however it shows up.
Yes. Can truth actually break through in a world that's already made up its mind?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Because don't we shut ourselves off from truth all the time? Just because something doesn't fit into how we see things.
All the time. And that's what's so fascinating about this text. It paints this picture, this unsettling but crucial picture of a world where the most important information,
The truth that could change everything.
yes, that truth is considered irrelevant, worthless even, because it doesn't line up with what people expect.
It's a powerful call to action. To look closer at things, question what we think we know, to be brave enough to have our worldviews challenged.
Who knows what we might discover if we do that?
Right. If we dare to question, well, that's another deep dive in the books. Thanks for exploring this with me. It's been quite a journey.
The journey's never really over, though, is it? It's about what we do with these questions now.
Absolutely. To our listeners, we hope this sparks some curiosity, some deeper thinking about the nature of truth and how we find it. Until next time, keep asking questions.